Hey everybody, quick disclaimer before this episode starts. We had a lot of audio issues when we did this episode. There's a lot of crackling. It's pretty bad, but we decided that we're going to upload it anyway and just let you guys know about it. It's really hard to listen to, but if you can, it's there. Hopefully we'll try to make sure that everything's all right in the future so it doesn't happen again. Thank you anyway. Here's the episode. Happy holidays, dear listeners, and welcome back to Fright or Flight, the podcast where we rank, recap, and review every horror movie in a given franchise.
I'm Jumpscare Jer and/or Geraldine, the Fright of the podcast.
And I'm Frankie, the Flight of the podcast. Geraldine, Thanksgiving was just a few days ago, and boy, am I stuffed. Hope everyone had a good dinner this year. How was your Thanksgiving?
I've had 4, so you tell me. I'm full. I have had an abundance. So
I feel like your sweater that you're wearing right now, it's like this white, brown, and orange, very autumnal sweater that you're wearing right now. It looks very uncomfortable.
It's very comfortable, actually, but go off, I guess.
Well, this episode is part of our holiday horror spectacular series of films that we're doing this year. We're about to be doing some Christmas films here in a bit. You know, we're doing Thanksgiving today, but we have some Christmas themed one around the corner for December, including Krampus. So make sure to follow us on Spotify so you can get the notification when that goes out. But today we're covering 2023's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving by Eli Roth himself.
Yes, directed by Eli Roth and written by Jeff Randall. You and I went to the theater together to watch this film.
Oh my gosh.
Because our theater burned down.
Not burned down.
We had to travel an hour away to watch this film.
We did.
That's how dedicated.
If we wanted to watch it during opening weekend, we had to get new tickets because we got refunded. And I wouldn't have found out had it not been for my mom, because she was like, did you see? And I was like, what do you mean, did you see?
Yeah.
And it was because, well, to be fair, our local theater has had HVAC problems all year long. It feels like it's been awful.
Like just complete sweat.
Yeah.
And I love going to the theater. I'm a very forgiving and patient person, but it has been hot.
It has been very hot.
Like it makes it really hard to enjoy a film.
Yeah, because I'm focused on like, am I gonna die?
Yeah.
Am I gonna just sweat and stuff?
Like in Italy, for example, they don't have AC in Italy.
I could never.
And it gets hot. They also don't have ice. Yeah, like if you get a soda, it doesn't come with ice. You don't get ice.
Well, I mean, sometimes you don't need ice if it's cold, but if it's not cold, then I would need ice.
Yeah, I love air conditioning. I couldn't live without it.
Me too.
This movie, Geraldine, I'm sure you know, was born out of a fake movie trailer.
Yes.
That Roth created for the 2007 double feature Grindhouse.
Yes.
Which is kind of like in 2007. I think it's Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino got together to create like a like just like in the old days, I guess. Maybe in the 70s. I'm not too familiar. They would do this thing where like you buy a ticket and you get to watch like 2 different films, or it'll be one film and a lot of like little snippets. So that's what Grindhouse is a combination of 2 films. I think Robert Rodriguez was Terror Planet and
Planet Terror.
Planet Terror, and then
Death Proof, maybe?
I think you're right. Yeah, those were the 2 films. And between those films, they had fake trailers, like trailers for films that weren't made. They were just shot to be trailers.
That is fun.
It is super fun. And one of them was the trailer for this fake movie called Thanksgiving that Eli Roth has been working on for forever.
Forever, it feels like. I did a little spying on his Instagram because I wanted to know about how long he's been working on this. But I know that the pandemic interrupted a lot of productions and stuff. I think they began, at least the first time he posted about it on his Instagram was 2018. He could have been working on it for many, many years before then, I'm sure.
He has. So obviously the trailer came out in 2007. Him and Randall has been working on the script for the film since 2010.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they've been just like working out what the movie's going to be, what the kill's going to be. Eli himself has been wanting to make a Thanksgiving themed horror movie since he was 12 years old.
I love Eli Roth. He's such an inspiration. You know, I go back and I will scroll through his Instagram and I'm like, this man is like I forget how old he is, but he's probably in his like late 40s, 50s, that kind of area. And he's just now put out this really cool, not just now. I mean, he has other movies that are really cool too. But he's just put out this really cool movie, and like he's known since he was 12 years old. This is what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
He's such an inspiration because when I was 12 years old, I knew that I wanted to make movies as well. That was the moment that I was like, that's what I want to do when I get older. Like I just knew, and I've never changed that answer. So I'm like, he's now doing this in his 50s and stuff. So this just gives me hope that like it's never too late. You can literally just start whenever. So I'm just like, whoa, I'm inspired.
I love hearing people like this talk about it, creatives. And it excites me because I'm like, I have hope. That could still be my future. This is something I can do.
Exactly. And that's why never give up. Never give up your dreams.
That's right.
Okay.
Here's a clip of Eli Roth talking about the origins of this idea.
Oh, I'm excited.
That was always the intention, is to give, Scream for a new generation. It was always after Halloween. For me, movies sucked for the rest of the year. It was family movies and Christmas movies, and I'm Jewish, so I just didn't give a fuck about Christmas movies. They meant nothing to me. So I just was waiting until January for another slasher film. So I wanted to fill the November void and make a great classic slasher and give, the next generation their own killer with John Carver.
He has a lot to say about like his experience. I think this movie is a lot of like, it's kind of like a passion project for him, I feel like. And another reason I'm such a big fan of him is because he does come from a very genuine place. And he is not like a big time studio director that is like here to adapt things. Most of the projects that he's ever worked on were things that, he wrote himself, or that he had the idea of for himself, or if it was an adaptation, it's something that he had to like go in and rewrite because he has to have like a personal connection to his film to accomplish. And I think that's a big reason why that he was a participating member and one of the people that did one of the trailers for Grindhouse. And he has a relationship with Quentin Tarantino. I have this clip where he talks about him and how they interact with each other.
He treated me like a friend, like we grew up together in the video store, We had parallel childhoods and different ways in the East Coast and same influences. And he knew that my love of horror movies was so pure, just like his, the way he loved that kind of slightly different generations. He loved the 70s exploitation movies, and I love slasher films, but he loved them too. It's so beautiful that the movie's opening at the Vista Theater, which is, his newly reopened theater on 35 millimeter. It's incredible. I mean, what Quentin has done for me, I love Quentin so much as you can't even put it into words. He's such an incredible, generous person. And that's why I always try to do that. Look, John Watts made a parody trailer of Hostel with Clown. And so I found him and I said, let's turn this into a feature film. And now he's directing Spider-Man and Brad Pitt. I mean, he's one of the biggest directors in Hollywood. I do think it's important to send the elevator back down.
Isn't that so cool?
I love Imagine, I'm going to set the scene. Imagine we make a fake trailer. We set it, and then Eli Roth finds it somewhere into the void, and he's like, hey, I'm going to produce that for you.
Wouldn't it be amazing?
I would literally, deceased, right there. He's one person I would absolutely die to meet.
I have so much respect for him. I really do. Now that I know more about him, and just like, apparently he did like a Reservoir Dogs, like fake, like not fake, but like a spoof, like a parody for college, for film school. And, he got into Grindhouse, like, and Quentin Tarantino being the person that made Reservoir Dogs. And then now, like, John Watts, I'm familiar with John Watts from the Spider-Man Homecoming and the new Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. He directed those. And to find out that John Watts had done a parody of Hostel. It's like, it keeps the cycle going. And I really like that phrase of like sending the elevator back down. It's like once you've reached that level, you got to make room and help other people, find that space as well. I love that because that's something that, a lot of people, this is like a strange parallel, but to me, it's like in the field that I took college courses in, which is communications, because I wanted to get my foot in the door for film. It's broadcast media, which is what we're doing right now with the podcast. Woo! But a lot of people will be like, oh, if these professors had such a good career, why are they coming back to teach? And I'm like, that doesn't negate anything that they've done. They can still have a successful career and go back and like he said, like bring the elevator down, because it's nice to mold young minds to me, and people who have a love and passion for things
will set out to learn from you, and they want to be mentored.
And I think that's so rewarding, and it's so fulfilling. Like, as for me, for example, as an older brother, being able to help my younger siblings figure out, like, oh, I can tell that they're going through something that I've gone through, and I can either give them wisdom, or I can like help provide them a path to achieve whatever kind of thing they're searching for. And there's not much that brings me as much happiness as like helping somebody else figure out something that I've already gone through.
Exactly. I completely understand. It's just, I don't know. It is a really nice, rewarding thing. I don't know if there's like a little bit of like selfishness like rooted in it, but I think it's got a good intention. So I think that kind of negates it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because you're like, I want to help people, and that kind of clouds.
That's the important part, you know. But Eli talks there about how he didn't necessarily care for a lot of the Christmas movies, but Thanksgiving, on the other hand, was very important for him growing up, just because of the area he grew up in. He grew up in Massachusetts.
So that's so fascinating. I did not know this about him.
Yeah, he did. And over there, I mean, it's a big deal. Like the whole, like pilgrims and Thanksgiving, there would be several parades throughout the year. He had like school field trips where they would go to like areas where you check out how people lived when they first came and settled. I think I actually took a field trip to a very similar thing nearby here, Tennessee. I don't know what time period specifically, but it was this place where you would go to, and
probably Civil War.
You have they had like a bunch of people like churning butter, and
yeah,
there was a few different houses that you can visit and walk through, and they would live like old timey ways.
It's like a reenactment.
Are you sure it wasn't some sort of like plantation kind of thing? Because I know that they did stuff like that too. Like
yeah,
they would be like, oh, like this is what a blacksmith did, and they would have like little classes like for the field trip, and you would like do like little blacksmith things. It was kind of fun.
The most thing I remember from it is I got in a little bit of trouble because we went during like November probably, and it was really cold, and I was wearing it was 4th grade, and I was wearing my shorts.
Okay.
And my teacher was like, "Oh my gosh, your mom sent you out like that?" Because it was super cold and I was wearing like summer clothes basically. And I felt bad because I felt like I was going to get my mom in trouble for like child neglect or something when I'm the one that chose my clothes.
And you never learned your lesson, did you?
No, it's cold outside right now. I'm still wearing the same stuff.
You're insane. Patrick stresses me out. So sometimes it's like really cold and he'll just be wearing shorts and like maybe like a long sleeve shirt. And I'm like, can you please wear like jeans, sweatpants, anything?
I'm all about comfort. Like comfort is very important to me.
But here's the thing. When it's under like 40 degrees, or no, when it's under like 45 degrees and you walk outside and you're wearing the clothes that you're wearing right now, you're always like, oh my God, it's so cold. And you start shivering in the car and your teeth are chattering.
Okay, I don't do good in the
comfort.
cold. I don't.
So dress for the cold?
Exactly.
Also, it's currently 46 degrees outside right now.
Okay, and it was 43 degrees when we left the house.
For sure.
It was so cold that I had to pull out my long coat. Like
when Patrick let us in, he was like, "Oh my God, are you guys cold? It's cold outside."
Yeah, it was cold. It is cold.
It's so cold, but it's also pretty cold in here too. We keep it pretty cold because if it's too hot, then I can't. I'd rather be cold and put more clothes on than be hot and miserable. So that's my theory.
I agree.
I'm with you. I love sleeping with a blanket anyway. So if I can keep my room cold,
This is unpopular, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I sleep with socks on.
Yeah, you're a weirdo.
It's a comfort thing.
You love socks.
I do. I love socks.
And you hate grippers. You hate seeing that.
I don't mind grippers, but I don't really. It's uncomfortable to sleep in, but I can wear them. I can wear them around the house. And that's
I'm just saying your feet.
What do you mean?
Not slippers. He means grippers, as in like people's toes.
Oh.
Yeah,
I hate feet.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant like the little grippy socks.
No, I'm sure you could wear those too, though.
Yeah, I don't really like people's feet. They kind of weird me out. Unlike Quentin Tarantino, he likes feet.
He'd be loving the feet.
He do be loving the feet.
I saw somebody come up to him. They saw him like leaving a building or something, and they came up to him and they gave him a pen, and she was like, "Can you sign my feet?" And so she had him sign her feet, and then she went and got his signature tattooed on her foot.
That is smart. I would probably do that too.
I definitely do think that that's probably a core moment for him.
I mean, literally the best iconic moment I can think of with him and feet, and he probably wrote this in himself, was the movie From Dusk Till Dawn, Salma Hayek, beautiful, like curvaceous, all of the things, dancing with a big snake on her, and then she pours like liquor or wine or something down her like body, and then she puts her foot out, puts it in Quentin Tarantino's mouth, and then as she's pouring it down her leg, it like is getting in his mouth, and he was probably like, oh, that's probably
the power you have, when you can make your own movies. I'm excited.
I don't know if that's necessarily I was gonna go more like Salma Hayek's like power that she embodied.
She's beautiful.
But
She's a beautiful woman, definitely.
yeah, 1000%. But also, I guess if you have that to write yourself in.
Oh, I'm taking every opportunity. Just as Eli Roth did in making this film, he actually departed the extra photography being taken for his upcoming film next year, Borderlands, which is a video game adaptation, by the way. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah.
Being distributed by Lionsgate, who we just saw the Saw series from, and who actually was originally going to be screenplayed by Lee Winnell. Was originally way back in 2015. That was the original plan. But anyway, he left the shoot. Eli Roth did. They already shot the film. They were just doing some like pickup shots. But he left that so that he can make Thanksgiving.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I mean it's just he's been wanting to make this movie for so long.
I can only imagine.
So he took his opportunity. But Geraldine, let's stuff this turkey and get into Thanksgiving. What were your general feelings about the film?
I am grateful that Eli Roth made this movie. That's my overall thoughts. It was a great time.
Yeah.
I loved it every minute.
Yeah, I was a fan actually. We've seen some holiday movies.
Yeah, we have some bad, some great.
Yeah, and I think this is the second Thanksgiving movie we saw, and I think it really did a good job.
Oh my God, yes.
I think this movie fits in with a lot of the modern horror movies that we see today. Most notably, I definitely got a lot of like Scream 5, Scream 6 vibes.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little suspicious, though, that they casted Melissa Barrera's stunt double as the lead in this film.
Interesting.
The whole time I was like, is that Melissa Barrera? Like, is that her?
Yeah, literally, we left the movie theater and you were saying she looks so much like...
Yeah. Did you get that at all?
No, I did not.
I thought they looked so similar. She's not actually her stunt double, but she might as well be, because I swear.
You're such a gaslighter.
Yeah, you literally... I was like, oh, this is news to me. I'm such a naive person. See, don't do that to me.
The actress playing her is named Nell Verlaque, and she plays Jessica.
She did great.
I quite enjoy her character. It took me a little bit, I'm not going to lie to you, to come around to it.
She kind of, in a strange way, she doesn't look like her, but she reminds me of the girl, if I can remember her name, it might take me a minute. The girl who plays Betty in the Riverdale series. We've talked a lot about Riverdale recently. But
I've never seen it, but we do talk about it.
She does. I think it's just some like the big eyes, like the big really pretty eyes, and like the big lips feature. I think that's really the only thing that reminds me of that character. I don't know, but that's the only thing that I really was like. She kind of reminds me of Betty from Riverdale, but that was it. But she did great, and I loved her performance. It was a good time.
The biggest name in this film, I'm sure for a lot of people, is one Patrick Dempsey.
Yes. I'm so glad you didn't say the other big name in the movie, because I was gonna be like, I mean, I have to admit her performance was good.
What do you have against Addison Rae?
I don't know. She's just TikTok cringe, I guess.
Yeah,
I might be a hater.
You are kind of a hater. You just didn't give me a reason at all besides she's popular on TikTok. I don't like her.
But like, I don't care. And you know what? I will say, I'm a big fan of the Alani Nu. You've seen me drink them on the podcast before. The energy drinks are really good. She had a flavor. She had a collaboration with Alani, and it was called Berry Pop. And let me tell you, that shit.
Okay. So would you also be upset if you like saw Charlie D'Amelio in a horror movie or something? Why does that upset you? I wonder.
I don't know. I think it's just because I feel like there are probably a lot of other underdogs that don't get the opportunity, but because she has like this big platform,
I will say that like Eli Roth, I've heard him talk about like Addison Rae specifically, or just the whole cast. He's very proud of the cast, and like he feels very proud of the performances they gave.
They did great.
He believes that this is the beginning of a good career in acting for Addison Rae.
I have to say, like, I ate my words because I was like, man, I'm not excited about seeing her. But she actually did really well. She did very well.
Yeah,
so I'm just a fucking hater, and I'm sorry, Addison, because you did good, girl. You did good. You did me proud.
She played Gabby, and Patrick Dempsey played the sheriff, Eric Newland. Patrick Dempsey being recently named People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for 2023.
McDreamy, still at this age.
That's why he looks so familiar.
He looks way better in this film to me.
Yes, he does.
Than he does in Scream.
He's like Robert Downey Jr. When they're like younger, for whatever reason, they look so like I don't know, they look like twerps. I'm like, ugh, get away.
Yeah.
And then the older they get, I'm like, ooh, you age like fine wine, baby. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like, I don't know. The older he gets, he just looks so good.
Yeah, I think he looks fine in this film. He looks a little short. I feel like he looked taller.
What?
I feel like he looked taller in Scream. I don't know why.
I don't know, but I loved his like little Boston accent. It was very cute.
It was very. He just looked very comforting. Like,
Yeah.
I know we take a twist
would've-
later on down the road, but I thought it was very. He like I don't know. Maybe it's his hair and his beard.
Maybe it's the cheekbones. That smile.
And
that
so
dreamy
part of him being
smile.
short also adds to the comfort. I don't know why.
Okay.
Is it because he's a cop? Do you secretly like comforting cops?
You know what? He's a cop, but he wears brown instead of like blue.
Oh, so state troopers are better?
And he wears like that puffy jacket.
That does look
He wears,
comfy
yeah,
as
it does
hell.
look so comfy, doesn't it? And he pulls up to Thanksgiving like with a joke. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. We also get Jalen Thomas Brooks as Bobby.
Bobby.
He's the baseball
Bobby.
player. He plays Jessica's boyfriend at the beginning
Oh,
of the movie.
Bobby, yes. I liked him a lot.
Every time I see Bobby now, I think of Bobby Dagan.
Fucking Bobby Dagan.
I don't know any other Bobbies besides that one, but I
hate that
thought he's also a short fella.
He is a short fella.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I don't know if that's I don't know if he wants to be branded that way though.
My bad. He is a baseball star in the film, dating Jessica's character.
Yes.
He seems like a decent enough boyfriend.
Yeah.
Opposing him though, we have Milo Manheim as Ryan.
We do, and I hated his character.
He's tall.
He's very tall.
He is so good at playing like such an asshole.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what
and
do you
it's
mean?
just like
What do you
because
mean? What do we mean?
in every movie that you see him in, he's always playing some asshole.
I think you're confusing him with Miles Teller.
Oh, maybe I am.
Hey,
Yeah, Miles Teller's good
you
at that,
said
and he does kind of
you
look like
said-
Miles
you said
Teller.
Miles Teller.
opposing, so I assumed that you meant the guy that played like Ryan or who was
That's
it?
him.
Yeah.
His name is Milo Manheim.
Yeah, isn't he in like the
Top Gun Maverick and Divergent.
Yes.
No, that's Miles Teller.
crazy because
Oh my god, do they just look the same?
Yeah,
they're just white boys.
Oh, okay.
they're both tall Jewish white men.
Then I totally judged
With pale-
him based
pale
on something
skin.
he is not. I immediately went into this being like, I don't like this motherfucker.
I do like Miles Teller. I think he
I
does
love
great.
Miles Teller.
Yeah, he does great. And that came from I flip flopped on him when I first started seeing him in movies. Hate him. I don't know why, but
You're
I
a
kind of
hater too.
I feel the same way right now, and maybe I don't think this one will change. But I can't remember his name. I'm sure you're familiar with him. He was in the Jurassic Park remake. He was the main character in Detective Pikachu. Justice Smith. That's it.
You don't like him? He
No,
was
I
in The
don't.
Quarry as well.
Yeah.
And he was in the new D&D, like Honor Among Thieves
Yeah,
movie.
I don't like him. I did like him in that role, though. I gotta say, I did
I
like
loved him
role.
in that movie.
But same way I feel about him now is how I used to feel about Miles Teller. But I'm up on Miles Teller. He's good in my book, and I think this gentleman here, Milo Manheim, his stunt double, Miles Teller's stunt double, did a great job as Ryan.
Okay,
He's not
and
actually the
I
stunt
do want to
double.
clarify. I don't hate Miles Teller. I hate the characters that he's playing.
Yeah.
He
He's good
does
at
play.
He's very
He
good
plays
at
an
playing an
asshole.
asshole.
The mustache he has in Top Gun Maverick, perfect.
Hate it.
Fits him.
Gross.
Yeah, it really does.
I haven't seen it, but I hate it.
oh
I've
my
seen
god,
it in the
it's so
trailer.
good. It's so much better than
I
the
haven't
first
even
one.
seen the original.
It's very misogynistic
Yeah, the first one's very misogynist. It was
But-
good for its
but
time.
also
very
gay?
misogynist.
and charming.
Yeah, the first one's very
Okay.
charming. The second one's even better. I highly recommend that you watch the first one, have your Gen Z feelings about it, and
Yeah.
then watch the second one. It's very good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
We also have Rick Hoffman as Thomas Wright, who plays kind of like Jessica's dad, who owns this grocery store called Wright Mart.
I liked him. There was something about him that was like really fun.
Quirky.
Yeah, I think it was just the mustache and the bright big smile. I don't know. I was just like, He looks.
He does look like a corporate shill, though.
He literally looks like he would exploit his workers.
With a smile.
Yeah, he's like, "Happy holidays" from your CEO.
We also have the beautiful Gina Gershon as Amanda
Gina
Collins. Sorry?
Gershon.
Okay, I've never heard of her
She's
before.
great. I love her.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot of like smaller roles. I don't know exactly what larger roles she's been in, but I've seen her in a lot of movies. One being, what can I think? What was she in that I've seen her in? Ah! It's gonna drive me nuts.
How do you spell her name?
Gina, and then
Okay, I pulled it.
oh, easy. She's been in a lot of things though. I can't think of them at all.
Showgirls, Cocktail, Red Heat, Pretty in Pink, Borderlands, P.S. I Love You.
Yes, she was in P.S. I Love You. Oh God, I love that movie.
Rounding out somebody of the other teens, we have Tommaso Sanelli playing Evan, Gabrielle Davenport playing Scuba, and Jenna Warren
Love Scuba.
playing Yulia. We also get Karen Cliche as Kathleen.
Kathleen?
Yeah, what did I say?
Kathleen?
You straight up said Kathleen.
Well, Jalen, personally, out of all the teens, my favorite one was definitely Evan. I really enjoyed him. He's my
He was
favorite
funny.
of the bunch. You know, he's kind of a dick at the beginning, but he kind of gets heartwarming. I'd really love it if we get to see him again in future films. I know that Eli Roth has said on several occasions that he'd love for this film to become a franchise.
Oh my God, I would love it.
Me too.
A Thanksgiving franchise? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Wait, didn't Evan die?
He did.
Yeah, but you know, they can work
Prequels?
their magic.
Prequels?
No, make a sequel and
No,
bring him back
prequels.
somehow.
Ugh.
Rise him from the dead, you know?
I like Scuba.
You like
I
Scuba?
love Scuba.
Scuba was
And
great.
I thought it was really funny, that scene where they were like, why do they call you Scuba? And he was like, because my last name is like diving,
Yeah.
or something like that. And they're like, what's your first name? And it was like Colby. And they were like, yeah, Scuba's better.
It's a good name.
It is a good name.
Yeah, I like the name. Do you have a favorite?
I would say Scuba was probably my favorite, but I also thought Evan was really funny.
Evan was funny.
Specifically the football scene. That was probably my favorite
The
scene.
football scene?
Yeah.
It's like,
Can you
I'm going to go
depict
play football by myself. And they're
That
like, you
was
can't
funny.
do that, dog.
He had so many good lines.
He did. He was really annoying though, but he was also funny.
He plays a really good, like, just typical Gen Z.
Oh my God, he was such a typical teenager. You're like, shut up. What do you know?
I'm so glad that you guys bring this up because it was very important for Eli, for all the teens to act their age and be consistent with like modern vernacular and actions like streaming. And, you know, streaming's a big role in this film.
Yes.
Pulling out your phone when a fight breaks out, you
That's-
know, instead of like calling the police or something.
Yep.
He got that perspective from like seeking out all of his friends and like talking to their kids. Like instead of like watching like teen content, like like movies made for teens, he actually went out of his way and talked to teenagers and they even ran stuff by them. Be like, hey, does this line up? You know, so he wanted to really be in touch.
I love how like in depth that he went, like the depths that he went to make sure that it was accurate, because I mean we're not far from when we were teenagers. I know that, but we are also like in the adult world, like seeing like all of this age, the digital age, like up in our face with like TikTok and stuff, and like that's literally all you see. So it was spot on. Like
Yeah, it was,
I was
super
like,
accurate. There
yeah, I
was
was
no
like, damn.
immersion breaking or anything
No.
like that.
No.
It felt very realized.
This movie was started production this year in 2023 in January.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so they wrote it, shot it, and edited it in time for this November release.
I am okay. That is impressive because
I agree, especially for the quality of
were
film
they
that we got.
sitting on it for a while, I imagine, or was it just like the pre-production took a long time and then
I
production
mean,
began?
there was a long pre-production, and like I said, Eli's been seeking out to make this film for a long time now. And, you know, this is the year that he got his opportunity because he's been working on Borderlands for a while. And that movie got hung up with the whole COVID stuff.
Yep, and probably all the SAG-AFTRA thing,
Yeah.
and that just luckily all of that is done away with. Hopefully, we get better wages for our actors and stuff.
Something I want to say is this movie is funny.
It's
it's
so
a horror
funny.
movie, but it is funny.
And it's so grotesque, which
Yeah.
also some of that overt, like, disgusting graphicness makes it so funny too, because you're like, oh god, like what?
Okay, so me and you are different on that. We were in the movie
Oh,
theater and I
okay.
was like wincing and looking through my fingers while the girl next to me was like maniacally laughing at the terror.
No, I wasn't. It wasn't that maniacal.
It was a little maniacal.
It was a
It's
little
more
bit-
like you're like innocently giggling at it. And
Yeah,
that's
like,
a little,
and there's like these
that's
awful
inherently
images,
maniacal,
and she's
yeah.
laughing, and
You
I'm
see
like,
somebody burn up and tied up like a turkey, and you're just like,
I think it's just because like it's just so like that wouldn't happen, I guess.
sure.
So it's just like, man, imagine the thoughts that they had to put in
Yeah.
to make this happen. Like, it's just funny. I
It
don't
was
know.
so funny. The scene where like they're reciting essays, and the first guy is
Oh my
like this
God.
super sensitive gentleman, and he's like talking about this awful tragedy that happened last year at Right Mart, and he's tearing up, so he gets his shirt and he wipes his tear off, and it shows off his like 8-pack.
Oh my God.
And then when he's like leaving the class afterwards, he's like has 2 girls like on his arms while he's crying.
God.
What a gentleman. I also thought there's a scene where the tragedy has just struck. You know,
Oh,
Evan
man.
and his girlfriend have been kidnapped, and Jessica's outside with the cops, and you know, she's wearing her jacket while Bobby, her ex, pulls up, and he's like, oh my gosh, she's crying. She takes off his jacket and puts it on her. She's already wearing a jacket. So
That
that
was
was funny to
hilarious.
begin with. And then when her current boyfriend, Bobby, turns the corner, she just like kind of drops
Oh,
the
Ryan
jacket.
or whatever his
yeah,
name
Ryan,
is.
sorry.
He goes and like drops it to the ground. Hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God. Like, there's so many things that are just so right with this. I really don't have a lot of complaints about this movie at all, if I'm being honest. Like full frontal. I don't like to say that.
Full frontal.
Full
That's
disclosure
really on your
is what I
mind
was
today.
trying to
You
say.
always have this stuff on your mind.
I don't.
Every episode.
No, it was just because we were talking about A24 earlier.
Yeah. You're thinking about those old people, huh?
Those images don't leave your mind, unfortunately. No, full disclosure is what I tried to say. Full disclosure, I don't have a lot of complaints.
Okay, fair enough. For me, I think one of the 2 funniest part of the movie. Oh, come on, I have to say 3 actually. The 3 funniest
You're a
parts of the
liar.
movie for me are they show a video of like last year what happened at the Right Mart, and it's like this super edited video
Oh my
of like
God.
the events, and there's like pointing and little red circles, and at
this
the end
guy's
of the,
not getting his free waffle maker.
yeah.
Yeah.
and at the very end it says like with pray hands emoji, RIP to the victims.
Yes.
Right before it's like smash that like button.
Oh my God.
I thought that was so funny.
It was hilarious because that is the disconnect of the digital age that we live in. Like literally like the shit with what's the fucking Paul brothers or
I
whatever.
was literally thinking that Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, we found it. Like, what? Who thinks, oh, I see the body, let's record it? Not me.
a lot of people. That's the day and age we live in nowadays. And I think this movie does a really good of reflecting how exploitative
Yes.
we are today in seeking attention online.
Yes, 1000%.
And I think that even the killer here, like, he wants
Utilized
to make
it.
a point to everybody else. Like, his whole plan, it's kind of like a much better worked out version of Scream 2. And
Yeah.
like how somebody wanted to film all this to like prove a point. Same thing happened here, but I think this one makes a lot more sense.
I think so too.
I just realized a plot hole. Do you
Oh.
really think that this old guy who's the sheriff or whatever knows how to tag people on Instagram?
I don't know. Maybe he learned it from somebody.
Maybe
I
he
don't
like
know.
kidnapped somebody. He's like, show me how to do this.
The 2 other things I thought was really funny is like you mentioned earlier, somebody gets dressed up as a turkey.
Yes.
And baked. And when they get baked, they get like tiny little chef hats on the toes and little herbs between each toe.
I thought the little chef hats were so funny
That
on
was
her
so
toes.
funny. I love that. And my 3rd funniest thing in the movie is we get this line delivered. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was delivered by Evan. And he was just concerned about how quickly they would take care of this thing, because if they don't get it taken care of soon, they're going to be the ones that are on 50% off.
Oh, yes.
And everybody was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't, but it was
so
hilarious.
It was so perfect.
I also like the tagline of this film, like, and it's Thanksgiving and there will be no leftovers.
And they use it
Yeah,
in
they
the
use it in the
film.
film.
That is, you don't see that often. At least I don't see that often in a lot of the movies. But I
Also,
love how that's so campy. It's
It's
perfect.
so campy. Originally, right, the bad guy, the sheriff guy, is the one that says it. And then at the end, Jessica says it too. And I think that they literally didn't have that in the movie, and they just got her into the studio at some point right before they released it, and we're just like, please record this. We're going to throw it into the final cut.
Love it. Yeah.
Because you don't see her say it. You just hear her voice.
They go in and they do the whole thing. I feel like they really commit to everything they do. And I think what makes it work more than anything else is that all those little campy moments, cheesy, the humor, it's all very intentional.
Well, and I think they also do a really good job leaving it off. I really am excited to see what Eli Roth has planned for a franchise because the killer disappears.
Good job. Like, of course, that's what you want to do. You set yourself up. I really hope it turns into a franchise. I know that it hasn't performed amazing for its opening box office weekend.
That's crazy.
But maybe, given Thanksgiving weekend, it'll do better and it'll be enough.
My theory, Black Friday. People are going to go out and see this thing. That's my theory.
I'm hoping. Or Thanksgiving Day. I know a lot of people go out to watch a movie on Thanksgiving because there's not really much to do. Everything's closed besides a few things like the theater.
That really stinks though that a theater would be open on Thanksgiving Day because then those people should be home, I
agree, but there are those businesses. I know like the China King buffets are open. I typically visit and, like Eli Roth was talking about growing up Jewish and Christmas wasn't a big deal for him. Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving isn't a big deal for a lot of people that aren't American.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So it does give you that opportunity, especially some businesses that are either ran or owned by people who are from somewhere else. They don't mind being open on Thanksgiving, and it gives them extra business. I'm not saying the theater is one of those examples, but I just know that.
No, but that would be kind of interesting to see because I actually do plan to go see it a second time in theaters because I loved it so much. I have to bring my sister to see it because she has not seen it. So I'm like, you want to go see it? I'll get you in, girl. No, don't worry about it.
It's a fun time.
It's a great time.
Now, Jalen, I want to talk to you about the Massachusetts of it all. It was important for Eli Roth that the mass holes of the film was represented, as he calls them.
It was. And as soon as I saw it was like the deputy or something, I was like, mass hole.
Yeah, that's what it was. Joe Deflin, who played McCarty, the guy in the blue jacket, the tall guy who was, offering them booze and ticketing them.
I loved him.
He grew up watching The Departed, and he always wanted to play that kind of character. So he's not from the area, but I think he nailed it. I think he did a great job.
Oh my God, he did. It was so funny.
Funny thing about Patrick Dempsey is that, he's doing this movie, they're about to start shooting, and he comes up to Eli and he's like, "Hey, do you want me to use my accent?" And Eli's like, "What?" And then Patrick says like, "Yeah, I grew up in Maine. I actually have a light New England accent." And Eli's like, "How come we've never heard it before?" And he's like, "Well, when I moved up to New York to pursue an acting career, they told me I better get rid of it if I wanted to find any work." So he worked with a voice coach and eventually to help him get rid of it. So the accent that he's in this movie is his natural accent.
I loved it so much.
Yeah, I think he did a great job. And I love that they're doing that. Like he's important. This is where he's from, and this is where he wants it to take place in. I feel like that's very.
I never would have guessed it.
Yeah,
never.
Me neither. Amanda Barker, who played the diner waitress Lizzie, was also born in Hanover, Massachusetts, and actually has a special relationship to the film.
And you have someone like Amanda Barker, who grew up in Hanover, Massachusetts, who plays Lizzie in the diner. And is known for comedy. She's in Groundlings. There was like a phone commercial that was on every morning. We'd see her, and she has a wicked accent, like Amanda Barker from Hanover, and she's an actual descendant of John Carver. So when we're shooting her scene where her face goes in the water and it gets stuck against things, she had tears in her eyes because she's a huge horror movie fan. And I showed her the teaser trailer where you see her face stuck up against the freezer, and she started crying. She's like, "I never thought in my career this would happen to me." She actually couldn't even speak. She was so emotional. She was really like, "This is so beautiful." Like it meant so much to her that her lifelong dream was to be in a horror. She's like, "I can't believe it really happened. You made it come true."
That is so cool, but also so sweet.
Isn't it?
That's literally like my dream. So I can imagine how heartfelt and
Yeah, it's super neat. I've heard Eli Roth talk about how he felt like this movie was kind of when he found out that there was this gentleman named John Carver. Mm-hmm. He was like, "Oh my gosh, destiny gave me that." Carver,
yeah,
the perfect name for a killer.
I thought they made it up. I didn't know there was an actual real person.
Actual person. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
I also want there's so much in the movie that I want to own. the John Carver mask. If they don't release that, I'm going to riot because I need to own it for my collection.
That should be at every like Spirit Halloween every year.
Oh my,
next to the Ghostface mask.
Next year, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I really hope. I'm concerned that this movie isn't going to get as much attention as it deserves. I really hope that turns around because I would love to see this become a franchise.
Me
I think
too.
it did such a good job. I thought it was a great film for Patrick Dempsey. You know, I've only ever seen him in Scream before. I've never seen Grey's Anatomy or anything like that, or any of the other films that he's been in. But I think he did a great job. And even like he was comforting at the beginning, but I think also when that turn happened and it's revealed, oh, the killer is the sheriff.
I was like, it could never be him. He's too dreamy.
I didn't see it coming. I thought it was the love interest. I thought it was Bobby and Ryan working together.
That's an interesting.
I was wondering if it was going to be that, but then I was like, Bobby's too short because the killer is a little bit taller than everybody else all the time.
Poor Bobby. Can't catch a break, man.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking was like, since this movie reminded me a lot about Scream, I was like, oh, they're going to do the double killer. And maybe there's like a homoerotic thing like in Scream.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going in my mind. But you know, it ends up being Patrick Dempsey. I think he does a great performance. I like his reasoning too. It's like, you know, this whole film is about this inciting event at a Black Friday store. And everybody wanted to rush in and get, what was it? A waffle maker?
A free waffle maker for like, it was like a certain amount of people would get it. And it was like first come, first serve situation. But also it was a Black Friday sale beginning like the night of Thanksgiving. Like some places have done that where people will camp out and then they just keep pushing the time like back every year. And luckily, I feel like it's not as bad as it used to be because a lot of the time we go shopping online nowadays.
Yeah, I will say like the events of this movie it's overwhelming. The crowd is.
Oh my God.
And they break through the doors and people get trampled. People get the main inciting reason for the killing happening is that one of the ladies, I think we mentioned her, Gina
Gershon,
was, you know, she fell over and then she got hit in the head with like a grocery cart. And then we saw this like little kind of funny moment of like her hair being peeled off and being like rolled on and caught on a wheel of one of these grocery carts.
That's what I'm saying is that like even though this is a grotesque and like horrible, disturbing scene, it's also there's a level of humor there where it's like this ridiculousness that's taking place.
You're right.
And like they're so clouded by like their consumerism and capitalism that they can't even see that there's a dead body next to them, and then they're like they're so concerned with get out of my way, and they're pushing carts into each other, and it's overt and it's. I mean, it's perfect because that we have had stories. I don't know if you remember any of them, but I remember growing up hearing stories about people getting trampled to death during Black Friday.
That has happened. It's based on real life events. I remember in 2008 that happened to a gentleman specifically at Walmart, where like it's obviously based on real life events. They never make a mention of that in the film at all.
Right.
But people have gotten trampled specifically the same way that gentleman did. I know in 2008, I can't remember the person's name, but like he had just been working at Walmart for 1 week before Black Friday. And he's this very big guy. So the managers wanted him to be security for that day. He was like a stalker. He worked in the back. He didn't even work in the front. But because he was big, they made him be security up front. And there was a situation kind of like in the movie where like the other guards just left. And so it was just him, and he saved this lady who was about to get trampled, saved her life. She was pregnant. And then in doing so, fell over and got trampled to death himself. And so like you're saying, it's overt. And I think this movie makes like this commentary, and it's not like, it's interesting because it's overt, but it's also its own movie.
Yeah,
and
it's also not unrealistic either as well.
But yeah, the whole thing with the killer in this movie is that he is in love with this woman and he is certain that this woman is going to leave her husband for him. But when all these teens come into the store and incite this riot that occurs that we've been talking about, the woman that he loves is the one that gets killed because of all these events.
It's not just the woman that he loves. Like it's revealed right there at the end that he has like a ultrasound. So she was pregnant with his child.
It's his family. And they're all gone, and he's wanting to exact his revenge on everybody who was responsible for causing that riot.
Like justified, but also like not justified at the same time. But you know what I mean? But mostly because Thanksgiving is about togetherness, being like what you're grateful for, sitting around the table, talking about what you're grateful for, and spending time with those loved ones. And he doesn't get to do that. So because he doesn't get to do that, that's why he must exact his revenge.
Yeah.
And love this reasoning. This is probably one of the best motives I've seen in a while.
Yeah, for a slasher killer.
Yeah, 1000%.
I agree with you. But yeah, it's interesting though to me that like he like isn't with this woman, but he's certain. He says that she's gonna leave him for him or whatever.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you, his reasoning, and you can tell that he's kind of crazy
Yeah.
when he's talking to you about it, but it's also not entirely unrealistic.
So I wanted to ask you, Geraldine, have you ever what?
Jaren.
Jaren?
I want to ask you, Jaren.
I forgot
It
the
sounds like a little kid saying my name when they don't know how to say it.
Fucked up for you to say that. I'm an adult.
But like most kids call me Jelen because they can't say it.
Jelen?
Jelen. Anyway.
Well, have you ever prayed on the downfall of somebody else's relationship because you were interested in one of the people? Have you ever been like, man, I hope they break up because then I get a chance?
Mostly celebrities. I feel like I did when I was younger, like high school age, but never at this age. No.
I did it all the time. I was, because in my head, I was like, okay, if, I just need my chance. You know what I mean? Something goes on with them, like it's not even serious. So I'm like, I kind of hope they break up. It'll even be my friends. And I'll be like, oh yeah, they break up, get my little crack in there, fill in that little space.
Oh, okay. Interesting. It didn't happen a lot. It didn't happen a lot for me. Mostly because I would be the interested party and they would be like, they would not be interested in me a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, that was my case too. It's just in my head. It's all in my head.
It wasn't even mostly like they were in relationships or anything. It's just like they didn't like me or they would friend zone me.
I see. You just wanted them to like you.
I have a friendly face apparently, but that's okay because now I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. What did you think about the kills in this movie?
Oh God. Amazing.
Yeah. They've had a lot of time to think about all the kills. The kills is actually the main feature of the film, like as far as like its history. Like they just were trying to figure out kills, like and just how to figure that out. And then they wrote basically the plot around that. Like how do we get from there to there? They kind
of pulled a saw on us, if we're being honest, because sometimes don't you say that they plan like the traps a lot?
They do the opposite. They do all the script, and at the very end, they find out where they can put the traps in.
I feel like it would work better to do it this way because this just flowed. There was like
I think so. I agree with you. Like they did a good job.
Like I didn't have a kill that I really didn't like. They were all really brutal and fun. I would say that the turkey kill was probably that was probably one of my favorites.
That was my favorite.
I can't even think about what the actual favorite was because. Dang, it's tough because there were so many good ones,
There was a lot of good ones. I like the turkey one so much just because it's so funny. Like, obviously there's this trope about a headless turkey.
Yeah.
So when he cuts off the head of a mascot turkey, and he runs around.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Wait, which turkey are you talking about? Are you talking about the mascot turkey or are you talking about the lady who got turned into the turkey?
No, the mascot turkey.
Oh.
When they had the parade, during the parade.
That was very silly. And the clown costume was kind of random to me.
It was random. But that's kind of why I was like, I wonder what that's doing there.
So do you have a favorite kill in the movie?
It's really tough because there are so many that I love. I'd really have to think on it. Truthfully, I think it was really dope. The girl the cheerleader, but not, it wasn't the kill scene. That was cool, but that wasn't my favorite kill per se. It was the part at the dinner table. Really just the dinner table was my favorite in general.
Very tense.
Because not only do you get to see the turkey kill in person, you get to see Evan's death and you get to see the wine thing and he's like, oh, let it breathe, and it's blood. It was like, it's just sick.
It's interesting. I think that scene was very tense, and there was a few tense scenes in this film. One of the last scenes that they shot for the film was actually the whole interaction with Kathleen. And that was one of the last parts of the movie about her being chased by him in this house. Doing a little cat and mouse.
That was a really good cat and mouse chase.
Yeah, I love that scene. I really liked how it was different from, typically when you see a woman who's being held hostage by this slasher killer, you see them do a lot of stupid things. And you're like, why have they not been caught yet? And then they get caught in the end. In this one, I thought actually she was very smart and she was doing things that I think everybody always inserts themselves into these situations, but I was like, yes, that's what I would do, is hide in plain sight, basically. But I was kind of disappointed that she didn't get out. She got so close. to running away, but she didn't get out.
I think I've heard Eli Roth talk about that. That's the whole point. And he talks about like how he follows a lot of the tropes that are typically presented in slasher films. And that's one of them. It's having this scene of like, and that's, you see it at the first Scream movie.
Yeah.
Where
Casey, Drew Barrymore's character, like almost is about to yell at her parents. And last minute she gets got by Ghostface. Yep.
And I think, that's following that tradition.
It is, and typically you see, like Bailey said, you see the trope of like the dumb woman running up the stairs and that kind of thing, and you're like, girl, just the door was open, you know. Like,
or same movie, Scream.
Yeah.
In the garage with
Tatum. Just
Tatum.
get out of the door.
But she goes through the dog door,
yes.
doggy door, and gets stuck in it.
That scene stressed me out because I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So embarrassing. So I really liked this scene. It was really cool. Was I disappointed in her death? No, because it was really cool to see it happen.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
And just that, like we said earlier, her getting presented with the whole like getting garnished and stuff was hilarious. And it was so messed up afterwards.
Butter all over her face and stuff. I was like, yuck! I can only imagine how gross that felt.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Thanksgiving by Eli Roth 2023. I quite enjoyed it, Geraldine.
I enjoyed it a lot. Like, I cannot wait. I would like to own a lot of the collectibles, the things from the movie. I really want to like also own like a special like Blu-ray version of the disc or something.
I really liked it.
I wasn't surprised by how much I liked it, but I don't know, like there's just some difference, some disconnect, because I guess I went in with an expectation, but it wasn't a low expectation.
I had a low one.
I didn't have a low one. I don't really know what I felt, but I was just like, I'm excited to see this movie. And so I went in with that, and then it exceeded that. And I was like, I can't stop fucking thinking about this movie.
I think what it is that it has a vibe of like a really good like 90s, early 2000s horror movie like Scream. It feels like the original Scream does to me.
I agree.
Where it's kitschy, it's fun, it's still gory, it's still scary, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. And it really plays on these jokes that are like, hey, these jokes are normally cringe, so let's let them know that we're aware of how cringe the jokes are.
Yeah.
To make it more like charming, and they did a really good job about it. But it doesn't feel dated. It doesn't feel like they didn't understand what they were doing. It feels fully realized.
I mean, in that clip, the Origins clip that I played earlier today, he talked about like he wanted this to become like a franchise for a new generation of people.
Which I love, because like I said, we were talking about this so much, like, you know, the newer franchises like are great for people like us because we grow up watching it, so then we can show our future generations this, like, look what this franchise had to offer for me, and then they will have new franchises to also grow into, and it's just really nice because you get the cycle of introducing people into the horror franchise.
I think that's important for Eli Roth, and I think he recognizes it. He's gone on record to even just talk about FNAF and how happy he is at the success of FNAF. And I like that kind of energy. I'm going to go ahead and give my rating for the film.
Okay.
And you know, like Bailey was saying earlier about like the charm of the film, I think what makes this movie so great is mainly two things. Is that it has heart and you can feel it.
Oh yeah.
Like you can tell that Eli Roth put like his passion into it. And the second thing is just that it's so intentional. Like every decision made was like confidently made. It wasn't like, oh, we'll just do this or we'll just do that. It was like, no, it should be this way. It was like confidently made in Eli Roth's vision, which I really appreciate. And because it's so fun and charming, I give it an A+.
Okay, I'm right there with you. A+ for me, and here's why. Like you said, the passion project. You can feel the love. The colors were beautiful. All of the characters and the cast members did amazing. The kills were disgusting and fun, and you just felt like you're at the edge of your seat. Like, what's gonna happen next? Oh my god! And not knowing like anything. Like even the trailer, they do a really good job not giving anything away. Like you just know, like, oh, this is just gonna be a Thanksgiving horror film. You get nothing else from that. That's it. And like they don't even give away like the origin scene, like the beginning scene, just a year ago, like it was crazy, and like we don't know what happened. So we're like, oh, what happened a year ago? Go watch the movie to see it. You know, I'm excited to see it again. I want to own it. It's amazing. Eli Roth, you did great.
So we're both A pluses.
A pluses all the way.
Bailey, do you want to give it a rating?
Yeah, I think it's a solid A for me. I got a little squeamish when he started cutting up the lady that has the turkey.
Yeah,
That crossed a line for me. I'm not gonna lie.
will say that, like, I think Eli Roth is a master of riding that line. Like, he is on the line of, like, funny, but also, like gore or, like, horror, but it doesn't, like, sometimes it goes over that line, but I think he knows, like, how to balance it very well.
Yeah, it's definitely just a me thing. It went over my line. And it made me feel a little sick to my stomach, but the little hats on the toes kind of made up for it.
Bailey, the film franchise that this man is known for is Hostel. I don't know if you ever heard anything about Hostel.
Is it like a hotel hostel or like?
Yeah, it's a franchise that is just like, you know how, like, we talk about torture porn with Saw.
Yeah,
It's
worse.
Hostel. Hostel is like the
Worse.
all out gore. Like,
I don't want to watch it then.
I can't watch it. I'm too scared to watch it.
Maybe we'll get to it at some point.
Oh no!
I want to see them, but maybe we'll see if
I do have a lot of respect for Eli Roth, and I'm excited now. I've never played the video game Borderlands, but I'm excited to see it next year. You know?
He's definitely got the humor for it
Yeah.
from this movie.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm super excited to see what else he does. It was so fun.
Yeah. Well, so I recommend everybody go catch that. We do have a little segment here at the end for some horror movie news. A little update. You know, the first season of this show that we did, Geraldine.
The
very first season, we covered all 6 now of the Scream movies. And all of them have done well, and we've been expecting a Scream 7 to come out.
Yes, it has been like in the early production stages. I believe they're still writing it, still negotiating contracts because it's still rumored that Neve Campbell might return, but we don't know for sure. I'm also expecting a Patrick Dempsey return. Please, God.
What I would like is a Matthew Lillard return.
Me too.
But
he's in the FNAF movie. He is like propelled in popularity as of late.
You know,
I love Matthew Lillard. I always have.
It's very heartwarming because apparently he thought that he would never be a part of another horror movie franchise,
And here he is. He signed a 3-picture deal.
which is amazing. And I'm
I
so
don't know if you
excited
guys
for
know,
him.
but like in the last 10 years, what he's been working on, like his money has been coming from just voicing Shaggy and Scooby-Doo in animated adaptations of Scooby and films. But besides that, he's been like last 15 years, he hasn't had many big roles. It's mostly like B, C-list movies, like straight to DVD films.
He's become kind of an entrepreneur as of late. He's got Beetle and Grimm, where he does like tabletop RPG stuff. And then he's also got new whiskey coming out, where they're doing like limited edition whiskeys.
I'd love to try it. I love whiskey.
That's very fun.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
he's
like
kind
whiskey.
of an entrepreneur, but now it's like he's getting back into the movie scene.
Very excited.
And he seems like he's having so much fun with it.
Me too. He seems like
So
a
I'm
really genuine guy.
Please get him back in Scream. I want to see him like be like a good killer or something like that. Like how who's the main character in the Scream movies now? What's her name?
Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
that is
We're
what we're
talking
gonna
about
talk about.
people who are potentially coming back to the film that we'd like to see. Well, somebody who we won't be able to see is Melissa Barrera. She is no longer starring in Scream 7.
What are they gonna do without her?
The actor was dropped from the project after a series of social media posts in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war. What she said was, Gaza is currently being treated like a concentration camp, is a quote from her social media post. And concerning everyone together with nowhere to go, no electricity, no water, people have learned nothing from the histories. This is genocide and ethnic cleansing. And because of these statements, she was fired from Scream 7.
They dropped her for that?
Yes. A spokesperson from Spyglass, the company behind the Scream franchise, issued a statement after the initial publication of the article. Spyglass stance is unequivocally clear. We have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism or the incitement of hate in any form, including false references to genocide.
Yikes! They've put themselves into hot water.
I think Spyglass has made a big mistake. I think they're going to get a big roaring back. I think also pertaining to the other cast members, I wouldn't be surprised if Jenna Ortega leaves voluntarily.
Yeah,
mistaking something like that for anti-Semitism is not cool.
It's not.
because from what I mean, I don't keep up with a lot of the news stuff because I get like a lot of that information overload, that anxiety from it, because I'm just like, oh, this is a lot. But from what I do know, like their innocent children and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a big political spectrum about this and a lot of people disagreeing. But I think specifically the messages that she was saying about like how there is hurt being done in the world.
Yes.
She doesn't seem like, and this is just me, like I don't know much about the situation either, especially from the people that are there. But Spyglass is actually the one that's taking a big stance on this, on like being on a certain side, as opposed to, I think, personally, Melissa Barrera's statement. But she's being dropped from the film. She's not going to be involved anymore.
I think this is unfair, and I think that there would be a potential for like lawsuit or something too.
I don't think she's interested. I think she's just going to take the L, unfortunately.
But I mean, she potentially could say no to the L and fight back because
I just don't think it's in her interest.
She is a new face.
It's just but then you're going to have to work with the company who did this to you.
That's true.
And I don't think she's interested in that. And I think, like I said, Jenna Ortega might drop out, which is a big shame, just because they helped revitalize this franchise.
They really did.
They could definitely, we got a movie last year where we didn't even have Nev Campbell. So I think they could definitely make a film without them.
Yeah.
But it's just like huge disappointing news to me. Like one of the biggest reasons I am a fan of like this new series of movies is how much inclusion is involved and that these two stars are Latina.
And Samantha's character has like mental health struggles.
Exactly. So so this news is not one that's welcome to me. I know
it's not good news. No.
I don't believe so, but we'll see what they do.
That means I'm not looking forward to Scream 7.
Yeah.
So I don't care if it takes place around Christmas time. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, I'm big sad.
I'm really big sad because I was really looking forward to Scream 7. I was like, Scream 6, they ended on a big fat W, and they caught my eye, and I was like, oh man, here we go, Scream 7, let's do it.
I'm going to be honest, I think what's happening here more than likely is that Spyglass is probably trying to hop on something before it blew up in their face, and I think it was something that they probably didn't really have a whole lot of stance in. But they were like, oh, well, we have to take a stance. And I think they just went with their first instinct and didn't actually look to see what their audience or other people genuinely felt. And I think they're going to get a lot of pushback from it without realizing that that's what they did.
Yeah, this is super unfortunate news. I'm really, really sorry to Melissa Barrera because she deserves better, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think she did a great job. I think she's a big reason why the franchise is there. I think, personally, my intrigue of, like, Billy Loomis's daughter... I feel like that was such a big plot point that we've been working on in this like trilogy, basically. And for all for them to just throw it away. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. But we'll see what makes of the movie. Just big disappointing news. I'm interested in doing more of these, like little updates on news and stuff, keeping everybody up to date with the new films. Maybe we should do it in like a dorky way where we're like coming at you live, and like I don't know, maybe not. That's a workshop thing. We'll workshop it, But on that note, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Fright or Flight. Next week we're gonna start covering some Christmas movies. Christmas! I'm super excited. Yes, we're covering the movie It's a Wonderful Knife, brand new Christmas horror film. Which, if you didn't know, will be available on Shudder December 1st. Originally, they said December 22nd, but I'm glad they moved it up because people can view it at home all month long. It's cringy and fun, and you'll love it. Yeah. So go check out Thanksgiving. Go check out It's a Wonderful Knife when it comes out on streaming. Follow us on social media. Follow us on TikTok at Fright Fight Pod. We also have a YouTube channel where you can see our faces. We also have another channel called Fright Risk where you can see us rank the top 10 saw traps, where you can watch us play Five Nights at Freddy's, and we have more planned videos coming your way. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Fright or Flight Pod just to see us do live streams because we do have some fun ones planned in the future. We do have some fun ones planned in the future. Also turn on those little notifications, that little bell looking thing. That lets you know when we post things. So then you get notified. Yeah. But thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next time. Goodbye. Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to Fright or Flight, a Live Oaks Village production. This episode was hosted by Geraldine Johnson and Saul Alberto Arizmendi Ochoa. Editing and music composition by Saul Alberto Arizmendi Ochoa.